Hello, minions. Happy Halloween. What was that? Oh, the eye. Yes, thank you for your concern, but all is well. That's the soul gem where I keep the wizard, and since the kitty litter incident showed me how much he likes cats, I saw to it that he was dressed up as a cat toy for Halloween. Trick or treat, Poindexter. Hey! 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 Totally worth it! As for me, just because I'm 10,000 years old doesn't mean I don't like getting caught up in festivities, so allow me to get dressed up. What do you think, minions? Is it me? Yar, avast me hearties. Way hey, up she rises, and on with what you're here for. The further adventures of those agents of the Assassin's Guild as the Night Below campaign continues. As is the fashion, the action will be represented using the Order of the Stick Monster for Every Season cutout minis. Also, in my wisdom, I implanted a notion in the wizard's mind to try a new visual cantrip on his recaps of the Old School Essentials campaign. Doing so was an exciting Inception-esque adventure and fine example of my own daring do, and let me tell you, the mind of a doddering old fool is quite the maze to navigate. But I am mighty, fear not. Long story short, I inceptioned the idea of testing that new visual effect on his last video, and now that we know it works well, I shall be adopting it myself. The players. Rick is Nom Gare, 4th level Human Cleric of Mask, Neutral Evil. Shannon is Elwinda, level 3/3 Elven Fighter Magic User, Chaotic Neutral. Sean is Bob, Dwarven Assassin, level 5, Chaotic Evil. Guest player Matt is Kurg, Half-Orc Assassin, level 1, Lawful Evil. Guest player Sean is Hagen, Elven Magic User, level 4, True Neutral. The session picks up immediately after Ranchifus's ambush against the group. Their prisoner from Ranchifus's attack proves to be of no value, however. After a strange smell of fish radiates from his body and he stares off into space, his mind suddenly and inexplicably a complete blank. They leave him behind and continue on. The group arrives at Thurmaster. Overnight in town, the group reunites with Bob, who encountered a farmer that survived a troll attack at the edge of the Schreichenmeier, but only because 2 malformed giants emerged and slaughtered the trolls, as well as the farmer's friends. Elwinda, Hagen, and Nom meet with Tauster to warn him of Ranchifus's interest in him. When Tauster asks Nom of their connection to Ranchifus and why they are hunting him, Nom lets slip that Ranchifus is an apostate of his faith, which Tauster further presses. Nom then reveals that he's a cleric of Mask. This seems to have an effect on Tauster, but he doesn't otherwise press the matter. Elwinda and Hagen inquire about magical study with the wizard, whose reaction to them is still favorable. Hagen arranges a trade of spells and is able to add the Friend spell to his own book. I should note, minions, that the Friend spell in 1st edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons is far superior to later editions where it has been nerfed into absolute rubbish. Elwinda requires more extensive training to gain an experience level, so she brokers a deal with Tauster, who asks her to rally her friends and cleanse the gleaming glade of any evil entities. He'd do it himself if he were younger, but more and more concerning rumors have reached his ears. Elwinda agrees to this, and Tauster says she'll have to inquire with Old Grizzler and Milborn for more information. Elwinda also has enough XP to level as a fighter, but will have to find a mentor elsewhere, that class now frozen until she can receive the necessary training as per standard AD&D rules. It will take several weeks to train, so Bob takes this time to instruct Kurg in some of the finer arts of their craft, and Nom meets with Quipper to inform him that their dealings mean a slight delay in the plan to seek out and assault the Lost Keep in the Thornwood. Quipper tells him that he gave his word to help him in the task, and he shall, so to seek him out when they are ready. Nom does ask Quipper if he has any insights about how Ranchifus could have covered his tracks like he did. Quipper feels it was likely magic. During the next few weeks, things in Herrenshire are fairly quiet. The Dungeon Master has everyone roll a d6 to see if any rumors come their way. Elwinda does encounter a frightened commoner who suggests that they saw a dragon flying around in the distance over the Schreichenmeier. This alarms the group, as now there are rumors of trolls, giants, and a dragon in this mire. Nom and group rethink their plan to enter the mire to hunt trolls for the bounty and instead plot to get away from it. Training finished, they decide to head to Quippers to discuss the plan to assault the keep. Taking a different route this time, the group crosses the Churnet by ferry at Thurmaster, and then heads overland along a lesser-traveled path through the grasslands. Some farms dot the landscape, but it's otherwise empty. A random encounter roll is made by the dungeon master, and ahead along the path a lone figure leading a laden mule appears. As the group gets closer, they see it's just a commoner, a merchant, moving his wares. He nods a friendly greeting as he passes, and the group is planning to just move on, until Bob decides that he can't resist such an easy target, and deprives the wretch of his miserable life with a few arrows. Looting the merchant and taking his mule, the group mainly finds mundane bric-a-brac, though several weeks' worth of food will definitely come in handy. A successful pickpockets roll allows Bob to use some sleight of hand to nick the merchant's money pouch before the others can notice, and keeps a bunch of coin and 3 gems to himself. He's unable to appraise the gems, so he squirrels them away for later. A second encounter check is made, but this one is special, as the dungeon master has been brewing a special encounter for some time, and the metric of the dice finally align. As the group approaches the tree line of the Thornwood, an archer appears and, using surprise, looses several arrows at Nom. None hit, and Nom sends his animals forth to maul this attacker. But as they near, they are flanked by another 5 on each side, who all loose several arrows at the animals. The bear and wolf take many devastating hits, but are not killed. Angered, Nom charges forward and brains one of the archers, engaging in melee with the others. The rest of the group moves up more cautiously. Elwinda and Hagen drop them all with sleep magic, then the group kills all but 2. Miraculously, though grievously injured, both wolf and bear survive. Nom immediately uses healing magic on the animals. The assumption here is that these are more of Ranchifus's men, which is really concerning because they specifically chose a new route and are wondering how he is keeping such tight tabs on them. The men insist they know nothing of this Ranchifus, but were instead hired by an elven woman who wanted Nom dead and some kind of glowing blue necklace brought to her. This revelation triggers Bob, Nom, and Elwinda. As in a previous adventure, they had an elven companion named Lyra, who had attempted to make off with the enchanted necklace of magic detection that the group possesses. Nom and Bob lament how they wanted to kill her then and there, but Elwinda, and a previous, though now deceased companion, had also argued that murdering her was not an option. Nom and Bob had let her live to keep the peace, but Nom swears never again. Betrayal is now a death sentence. Good, good. The boy is learning the correct life lessons. Pressing for more information, the frightened man is unable to give any about her specifically, though does mention that she provided all of their gear, arming each with armor, daggers, and longbows. They were to return to Milborn with the necklace where she'd find them. Nom and group realize that Lyra will be a dangerous foe, as she's an elf trained in the arts of combat and thieving, and was, at least when they knew her, a mid-level member in good standing of the Thieves' Guild. During this, Kurg worries about further ambush, so hides in the tree line, even briefly contemplating departing from the group entirely and reporting back to the guild the information he now has, which was his original task in the first place. Nom offers the 2 men the usual join-or-die spiel. It's a tired trope, but does seem to be working well for him, and he even presents Kurt and Lomar as character reference. A successful loyalty check has the 2 readily agree that their fortunes have climbed quite well in Nom's service. Nom tells them that if they help the group flush out Lyra and remain as loyal foot soldiers, then they may live. They take the deal and move on with the group as they head to Quipper's farm. Meeting Quipper, he asks if the group is ready to assault the keep. Nom decides that with the revelation that Lyra is hunting them, he wants to flush her out lest she be a problem, or even in league with Ranchifus. Elwinda also asks Quipper if he knows of the Gleaming Glade. Quipper says only by reputation, though he's never seen it, and suggests asking Grizzler in town. They tell Quipper that they'll return, and continue on to Milborn, where they enact a plan to flush Lyra out. Kurg and Bob disguise themselves, while Elwinda and Hagen simply seek out Grizzler without artifice. Bob and Kurg also use their disguising abilities to change Nom's appearance, who then travels with the 2 new recruits as they wait for Lyra to approach them. Nom wisely leaves the animals out of town as they'd be a dead giveaway. The plan bears no fruit, however, as Lyra doesn't present herself to the surviving goons. No one knows of any elven women in town aside from Elwinda. Hagen and Elwinda, in the meantime, speak with the drunk Grizzler about the Gleaming Glade. He is reticent at first, but when Elwinda splurges on the very expensive dwarven spirits the barkeep has on hand, Grizzler becomes quite loose-lipped. He spins them a rather clunky tale. Drunken dwarves aren't known for elegant storytelling, unlike millennia-old Demiliches. But they are able to gather that the glade was once used as a place of worship for a priest of Myrkul some 100 years ago. Warriors, led by Lord Palfrey's great-grandfather, led a force against him to end his evil doings. So evil was this priest that his death didn't end things. Rather, his essence infected the glade, causing it to wither. Pfft, such a low-rent way to achieve undead status. He deserves oblivion. A luminescent fungus, thought only to be able to grow underground, now covers the area, giving it the name, the Gleaming Glade, as it lights up the night. The glade is somewhere in the northwest area of the Hardlow Woods, nearing the border of the Great Rock Dale. Grizzler knows no more. There aren't many people willing to go there. Those that do often disappear, never to be seen again. The few that have returned spoke of a spectral entity haunting the area. Tales vary with the teller, but one brought Grizzler a sample of the moss, which is how he was able to identify it. At this point, the group reconvenes to plan their next course. They ponder investigating the Gleaming Glade, the Howler's Moor, and the Shrike and Mire. The fact that Lyra is stirring up problems for them is also concerning. Ultimately, however, they decide to return to Arabelle and report contact with Ranchifus, as if something happens to them now, that information could die with them. Also, they can receive advanced training. The team departs abruptly for the long trek to Arabelle. What follows is a little bit of game upkeep, as the DM advances the calendar to accommodate the appropriate time needed for their return home. Kurg's fee for completing his mission puts him over the threshold, and he levels again. He is short of the guild's required fees for advanced training, however, so trades in the magical shield in exchange. Elwinda is forced to spend most of her coin for advanced training at the Fighters' Academy in Arabelle, but a little flirting and a high charisma gets her a bit of a discount. When you've got it, flaunt it, children. Nom reports that they have learned Ranchifus has converted to following Cyric, though none of the other Maskites know his name. Nom, too, cannot recall any deity called Cyric, which is strange, because he distinctly remembers learning of Cyric and his complicated relationship with Mask, but now the details are obscured in a fog of lost memory. The elders state that they will look more into this Cyric. It may simply be a cult of some kind. Nom is perplexed by the state of his own memory. He consults with his friends, but none of them know of any gods named Cyric. Nom trains for 5th level as a cleric of Mask. Kurg is now a 3rd level assassin. Elwinda trains to make 4th level as a warrior, making her a 4/4 fighter mage. Bob remains a 5th level assassin, and Hagen a 4th level magic user. Kurt, Lomar, and the 2 goons Lyra hired, Claude and Smith if you really care, all succeed on loyalty checks and opt to remain with Nom and crew. In this time, Kurg also uses his contacts within both guilds to learn more about this Lyra, and he is told that both entities have washed their hands of it, and neither guild will help nor hinder. Elwinda and Nom decide to use some of their free time while in Arabelle to seek out a mark and rob them. Elwinda uses her amulet of magic detection to find someone with magic that they can acquire items from. The DM rolls to see if she finds anything, not too unlikely in a massive trading hub such as Arabelle, and an encounter check is made from the city encounters in the DMG to see what is holding the items. A merchant is rolled, and for fun, the DM determines to see if the merchant even knows what he's got. It's a small chance, but anything's possible. Elwinda uses a detect magic spell to pinpoint the item on the traveling caravanier's wares, and discovers a simple-looking axe radiates a moderate amount of magic. Talking the merchant up, they realize that he does not in fact know what he has, so sells him the weapon for but 2 gold pieces. Nom and Elwinda eagerly make off with their new acquisition, a magical hand axe. Robbery doesn't always have to be illegal, children. During his time in town, Kurg, being a little extra flush for cash, decides that Nom's animals will be of more use with barding, so has leather dog barding bought for the wolf and custom-made chain barding for the bear. The group finally returns to Heronshire, ready for their confrontation with Ranchifus. It is now the 11th month, that being the month of Uktar for those familiar with the calendar of Harptos, and mid-autumn. The weather is turning and winter will be upon the land. Since winter travel is highly inadvisable, the group plans to stay in Heronshire for the duration, come what may. However, during their time away, much has transpired, as the movers and shakers behind the scenes aren't idle. Nom doesn't want to alert anyone to his return, so he leads the team straight to Quipper's residence, bypassing Milbourne. But the ranger is hostile towards them, calling them out for their evil. Nom and others are shocked and demand to know of what they are accused. Quipper decries their attempts at ignorance and accuses them of working with the forces rallying against Heronshire. After Nom disappeared, Quipper feared the worst and led an incursion to the Broken Spire Keep in the Thornwood. It was abandoned, but they did find correspondence from Nom to Ranchifus about their plan coming together nicely. Nom protests that he's been forthright and has been hunting Ranchifus, but Quipper says the word of a Maskite is worthless. Still, Quipper gives them a chance to depart Heronshire and never return, but the penalty is death should they be seen again. Nom makes some disparaging remarks about Quipper's own so-called honor, but leads the group away without further conflict. Indeed, children. The thick plottins, as they say. Something truly strange is happening here. I wonder what it could be. Kurt and Lomar express relief as they don't believe they could have defeated Quipper. He's one of the finest warriors in Heronshire, but Nom vows to come back for him another time, or send Bob in for a little wet work, but they have other fish to fry. Kirk suggests to Nom that Lyra must be behind the smearing of their reputations. Nom agrees. Nom decides that Ranchifus is the primary target right now, as that's the mandate. And the group travels into the Thornwood along the Hogbrook River in search of this fortress where Ranchifus is rumored to be hiding. It may be old news, as Quipper said he investigated the keep. But it's all the group has to go on at this point, and they can't risk going to any of the towns now. Nom uses his hawk to spot the keep from the sky and lead them there. Arriving at the Broken Spire Keep, Nom casts his Locate Object spell, concentrating on the armor he saw Ranchifus wearing in their confrontation, hoping to confirm his presence in the keep. The spell confirms that the suit of armor Nom is thinking about is within range, meaning Ranchifus may in fact be there after all. So the team starts preparing for the long-awaited confrontation. The session ends there. Next up, the assault on Broken Spire Keep. Well, minions, so much wind-up, and now it's time to let this toy soldier loose. They are at the Broken Spire Keep, and next session we'll see the group going through the printed confrontation with Ranchifus. Well, give or take a few surprises, given how things have played out. It's interesting to watch players muddle through when more and more is dumped on their plates. The twist with Lyra has nothing to do with the module, but has been a long gestating development in this campaign. The elven fighter thief Lyra was another PC who once played with the group. The conflict between Lyra and the team developed after the player departed the campaign, and thus making the character a permanent NPC. Nom and Bob's desire to outright murder her made an enemy for the team, one that has been biding her time to return. Module events include the Gleaming Blade, the Giants, and the Dragon, however. All three are potential problems for the PCs exploring Heronshire, which, when added to the hunt for Ranchifus, the mystery of the kidnapped citizens, the missing pilgrims of the Howler's Moor, among the other events you have seen transpire, make this for a very rich scenario indeed. With many options, it can be difficult to know which way to turn. It is expected, however, that players would take a fair amount of downtime to train and level up. Interestingly enough, though this is most assuredly a 2nd edition module, it operates on the 1st edition experience for gold and treasure metric, as well as the assumption of training time. Time is meant to pass here. It's not a scenario that will resolve overnight. With the people of Heronshire having been turned against them, I'm most eager to see how Nom and crew deal with their new and arguably deserved reputations on this land. Perhaps even a contingent of purple dragons will be on their trail. Or perhaps not. I wouldn't know. I just work here. There's nothing more to say here, minions. The module lays out many fun scenarios for the players to experience, and they are set now to enter the first major dungeon of the module, the Broken Spire Keep, wherein, I think it's safe to spoil, their quarry Ranchifus awaits. Next session, minions, the showdown that has been building up will finally happen. If I still had flesh, I'm sure it would be all goosebumpy. I haven't looked ahead, so the end result is still a mystery to me as well. So, until then, be nasty to one another. And, since sugar is poison, and I am evil, clearly, I will suggest you go out and overdo it on Hallowe'en.